What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Panthers Nation Network. New podcast, though, this week. It's a new time for the Panthers. The first win in the Frank Reich, Bryce Young era. Got me feeling like we're going to go 11-6 off the bat.
Okay.
Okay. It's a fun way to go about it, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Look, positivity is all we trying to push here today, bro. We ain't trying to push nothing else but positivity there.
Yeah, gotta say, it feels good to be on this side of the conversation this week. Albeit as ugly as it was, we still came out with a W. I'll give it to Thomas Brown though. I think he called a great game per se, but you know we still look a little shabby in that offensive side of the ball. But we pulled it out.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. But I kind of expected this though. I mean, like, there's not much you can really change in terms of personnel. Like that, no, the guys you have on the team are the guys you have. How you run things can be different. How you try to get in a certain plays with different personnel groupings and all of that. But overall, you still got to deal with the offensive line right now. It's just probably been the worst in the league.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously saw how bad we needed Corbett back in the mix. I mean, that even was just apparent. He didn't play 100%, obviously. He didn't look even 100% a lot of the time, but just his presence in the lineup, his presence with the camaraderie and chemistry of that group was much needed. It didn't help Icky. We'll get into that later, and we'll have a talk about him later. I think what you said though about the personnel is interesting because I do think that you did still see an obvious change in the running back room. You know, whether that was a Frank Reich, hold up, or if it just kind of was propelled by the last few weeks of Blackshear and Chuba doing a little bit better. But I mean, it was from off the jump. They didn't even try to sugarcoat it. You know, Miles had a couple plays there where he tried to. Oh, I guess that's a bad omen. But either way, while Shanti's deals with that, I think that, it was interesting to see how quickly they did go, all right, we're going to try Miles. Obviously, he needs to, get his minutes. The second it's not working, put Blackshear in there. I mean, he had, a play already in the first, 10 minutes of the game. He had that one at the sideline. Chuba was making some of those short yardage plays. I don't know why Blackshear's not been fielding kicks and punts this entire season.
He's clearly your best returner. I'm even to the point now where you got to give him all the return duties. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Return kicks, return punts, return mail, any type of returns you can give him at this point, bro. Because honestly,
tax returns, just keep going,
bro. All the returns.
Yeah, I think writing was on the wall for Miles Sanders. I think watching Chuba right out the gate, he just ran with so much force, so much enthusiasm. He made some big plays and some big impacts early on in the game. So it was really exciting to see Chuba out there. I did like the cadence of the play calling a lot better. It just seemed a little bit more up Bryce's alley. Bryce seemed a lot more comfortable in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. I think you could tell with how quickly he was getting to the ball, how quickly the ball was getting snapped, and just how seamless it seemed to be. You saw a bit more of the up-tempo stuff too, which we've been waiting to see that kind of up-tempo stuff. Still haven't seen, them let Bryce kind of out the pocket a little bit, and I wasn't expecting them to because you're not going to have, as your first time calling a game, you're not going to run your rookie quarterback out to the Wolves and think that that's what you're going to do. But I will say that, it seemed a lot more purposeful in his play calling. Even that first touch, that first non-touchdown drive, the first drive with the 4th and goal, 8 times out of 10, I'd say he probably fields that one in there. And that window was big enough for him to get that pass off. I mean, a inside slant in the red zone is not an uncommon play whatsoever. And I think that it wasn't, there were some people I think that were upset with the call. I was not one of them. I think that in that situation where you don't have a short yardage running back like we've proven we don't have, I'm okay with that play call.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst play call in the world. It just goes to show you how much you lack on the offensive line. Right now, short yardage situations are 50-50.
Yeah.
And that really shouldn't be the case. You should be able to go 80-20 on how you convert those short yard situations. And you would think that going to get a running back at some point, you saw Leonard Fournette just get picked up. You would think picking up a short yardage back would be what you want to do now at this point because you pretty much have 3 running backs that are all the same type.
I mean, Chuba my man, he had some good plays, but that pass protection where he got laid out, I don't remember who hit him, but that was
Petrie.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But I mean, that was rough. He folded.
Hey,
Folded. Yeah,
folded. Yeah, he folded for sure. Look, just stand in there, bro. Get the job done. Just get the job done, bro. Gave Bryce a chance to make a play. He makes a big play.
It was, yeah.
So, it is what it is. But we definitely need some more beef in that running.
He looked like a crash test. I mean, I want to say JB, I think you talked about it earlier, how we kind of dug ourselves in a hole now where the guy that I thought we could put back in there, being it Ricci or being Tommy Tremble, well, at least Tremble has now been incredibly involved in the pass game. He's now an asset in the pass game to the point where you can't afford to keep him back in the backfield. So I don't know where we kind of go to try to amend that.
No, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, it goes back to the personnel that we have at hand. I think the only one that I really had an issue with was when we were in the red zone and we ran those 3 running plays and couldn't get in the end zone.
Yeah.
So it goes to your short yardage back that you're speaking of, with those bodies being back there. But I for one just felt a rejuvenation as far as how the game was being called. It didn't seem stale. It didn't seem stagnant. It definitely seemed like Thomas was trying to, make some innovative things happen. But based on what we had and what was given, we did what we could do. TMJ was non-existent again. With Ian Thomas being out, to your point, I think Trimble is starting to come into his own. I even like Sullivan a little bit. So I saw a little bit of action out of Sullivan. So, that 5 tight end room that we always joke about. I mean, it seems like 2 of them are starting to come to fruition. So we'll see as we come. I mean, we got a big game coming up this week, and hopefully Thomas Brown can carry us over the hump in this one and look a lot better than we did this past week.
You had you talked about it. I mean, there's still some issues with Thomas Brown. I saw, that I didn't see, and it was interesting that I didn't see in the Dolphins game. We saw another infamous, it was 3rd and 9, so we run a screen to Thielen in midfield, mind you, which again is not the guy I'm trying to run a screen to, or some of those ones like you talked about, those 3rd yardage, 3rd and short, 3rd and however, and we know clearly we don't have the dogs for this fight, but we continue to try to press the envelope of we're going to do this, we're going to do this. At a certain point in time, you have to accept who you are, accept what guys you have, and not call that kind of play.
I'm not mad at it because in any other situation, that's what you would call, and you don't really. Not every time do you want to get so creative on 3rd and short. You want to just be able to just hand it off, running between the tackles. You would think you should be. You would think you would be able to pull that off. There's still some things that they're gonna have to get cleaned up as time goes by. I still don't truly know what we're gonna see from this group week to week, and I would implore people not to be too upset when you don't see these point totals rise. Like, that's not changing. Yeah. I don't think you're not gonna see this team drop 30 points too often. Not with Bryce Young in this current group. You really just hope to see how they function. And like you said, you started to have a sense of identity of what they were trying to be. I think the more I see Mingo get going is the more I'm impressed. He's the guy that I saw this. He probably should be the guy getting those screen passes. If we're going to get this ball to anybody, at least get it to the young guy that's got some wheels. I mean, he's not the fastest guy, but he's a bigger body, better after the catch than every other receiver we have right now. I would think he would be the guy you want to let receive some of those screen passes and see what he can do.
I mean, the work that he put in on that, after catch on that, what was it, that 50, 60-yard reception, that all of it was pretty much after the catch where he was dancing around, spinning, and able to break it in between the hash marks. That was all open field ball. That is what you want to see from especially a guy of that size. That's what looks reminiscent of a DK Metcalf. That looks reminiscent of an A.J. Brown. That's what they do. That's the craziest part about that new wave of receivers is their ability to get that yards after catch. Any guy can run 70 yards and catch it right then and there. It takes a bigger guy. It takes a different kind of dog to be that size and make a play like that. And we were looking from Chark, and I think that Chark has more of that I'm going to run straight and catch it once it gets to me kind of guy. And Mingo should be more of that playmaker in the midfield. That's kind of what I want. But for me, and I still to this day don't understand why we haven't implemented it. And I mean, there's some times with Miles Sanders why that I do understand why, because he runs either right into the lineman or into the ground. But I mean, Chuba and Blackshear should be the ones fielding those screens. Blackshear should be the guy fielding those screens. If you're going to put a guy out there, put him out there in the flat, let him step back, catch it, and then try to make some space in the open air. Chuba, one of the best things he did when McCaffrey was gone was a lot of those screenplays that he had. That's where he makes his, he gets his head of steam. Chuba with a full head of steam can run through people. It is ridiculous to see him do so. And we saw Blackshear too, that first play down the sideline. He had very little separation on that play. So that's what I kind of want to see more. But when you talk about short yardage, it's to this point, I'm like, all right, if we want to do a short yardage play, that's cool. Take Bryce Young off the field. When LaVisco or Ian Thomas come back, some of our bigger guys, have it be a direct snap to Chuba or Blackshear with a lead blocker as a fullback and let LaVisco or Ian Thomas just go and start trying to level people at this point. And that's what I want to see, because it gives you no pause to just have it handed off to Chuba. And Bryce Young, at that point, is a waste of a player on the field.
Yeah, I think
A short yardage handoff, the quarterback is just, unless you're going to roll him out and fake it and do a naked bootleg, which I pray every time to do because I don't see very many instances where it doesn't work, other than Clemson and Cade Klubnik when that's not the play you're actually trying to run. But that's what I'm thinking. Like the short yardage run in the red zone, I think just neutralizes a player that is supposed to be the key person in your team.
I think the issue with the screen too is we just don't have the time to run it properly. I mean, our line doesn't hold water, so by the time we hike the ball, there's somebody breathing down Bryce's neck. He doesn't have time to really get the play off the way it needs to, if you notice. So a lot of that is kind of he's got a split second to make a decision, make it happen, and ultimately the line is not giving him enough time to be able to make those plays become efficient. I mean, you speak about Mingo. I think he is coming along. The one thing I hate that he missed was that, what was it, the back shoulder one that he did the out route on?
Yeah.
First series. I mean, that thing was white. It was right there. All he had to do was turn around just a half a second early, and he can make those moves and get up the field a little bit quicker. So I think as the timing gets better between he and Bryce, I think we're going to see that become the 1-2 punch that we really need. Thielen, of course, is our go-to, our golden blanket right now. So, with those two guys, I think Bryce can become more comfortable and more confident in this offense. But again, that offensive line is atrocious, and it's not really helping him, in his development and being able to make these things happen.
No, I mean, I think, and especially like they're going to get trained on their legs regardless. But when you have multiple guys that have leg issues on your offensive line that are just recovering from injuries, literally one who's fresh off of IR, is a screen the best thing? You really want to put your guys out there and make them run full speed ahead, in compromising situations for your offensive line?
You got to see it's easy yards. You would think it'd be easy yards.
No, but you're gonna get. I'm afraid you're putting them in, in a compromising position.
Don't play them.
Well, look at
that's the only thing I got for you. Like, if we can't hold back what we want to run is because we're scared you're gonna get injured, bro. Bro, if you're out there, you're playing. We gotta open this playbook up to 100%, and it's got to be available to us to be able to go to. We just need better open field players. We don't have a guy that creates enough in the open space at receiver. Like Thielen, it's great at getting open, right? Anything after the catch, you just kind of chalk it to the game with him.
Yeah.
Like I said, Mingo would be the guy that I'm looking at, like, to this point and saying, like, hey, he needs to be the guy we feed a bit more and we feature a bit more. But even at tight end, nobody really gives me any hope that we can create any big plays. I do need to see Chart make some of these big catches though down the field. I mean, he had the one on the side, on the right sideline, drops it.
Yeah.
Got to see him, and I need to see him and Bryce connect a bit more. Hayden Hurst at this point, bro, is
really disappointing.
Straight.
Honestly, but the biggest thing I was talking about before we started, you've got multiple guys you're trying to put on the trade block. The only one that actually could still get maybe a look, and he's going to shudder when I say this, because he's the only one that's actually performing, is Action Jackson. He's the only one that's on scene right now, and it's not to say that he's actually playing well. He's the only one playing, actually having an impact in the game. Like, if you know TMJ's on the trade block, and you know that he's not going to want to be on this team anymore, and you've clearly not used him, and you want to try to get something for him, why do you not try to involve him just a little bit more to show, hey, this guy is actually someone that is viable to try to trade for? I mean, Chin, there's nothing you can do about him going on IR. That's rough. That's brutal. But then, like you said, I mean, we can't even trade guys like Miles or Hayden Hurst, because who's going to want to trade for these people that aren't doing anything? There's no film for them to look at.
Well, the price is too high for Miles. The price is too high for Miles. Nobody's going to take a $25 million running back who's not doing anything.
Oh, without question.
And Hayden Hurst, I mean, honestly and truthfully, I think we were like one of the only teams that went after him when he was up for grabs. So I didn't think there was much of a market for him at all, even in that regard.
Yeah, again, the value that Miles Sanders was supposed to bring was being able to be a pass catcher out of the backfield. That hasn't been there. He hasn't ran well in between the tackles. For whatever reason, the offense, any play we run with Miles Sanders, like it's a traditional run play, gets dropped for a 3-yard loss. I haven't quite understood what the disconnect is between him and the offensive line group when he gets into the game, but
because it's the same thing that we always were confused about. Like, when Chuba first got drafted was, all right, McCaffrey clearly is, he's down a step, but it's still Christian McCaffrey. but the offensive line seemed to block a lot better when Chuba Hubbard was in the game. It's the same thing now. The offensive line looks like all-pro, first-team all-pro, each one of them when Chuba or Blackshear are in the game. They're able to find holes. They're able to make it the best of the holes and do what they need to do in that moment. So it's confusing and quite maddening to see Miles Sanders, who we put, like you said, JB, gave that paycheck, to see no ROI on it. You talk about no open field play for wide receivers also. I get it. It's a problem that we've had consistently the last few years in Carolina. I mean, we've never really had a speedy, yards after the catch wide receiver, a guy that could make people miss, an open field who came from Maryland. We really have never had a guy that, was deemed to be the next Steve Smith by Steve Smith. We never had that kind of talent. So I understand, the issues where we continue to not have these guys, and we really could try to find them. I know there's guys in Chicago. There's a guy in Chicago who runs really well, and he seems like he'd be a great addition for Bryce Young. And I think they should really, before this trade deadline set tomorrow, maybe try to make a play. I think his name's like DJ Moore or something like that. He hasn't gotten a lot of looks. He's only been in Chicago for a short while. I don't know where he was before that, but if you want some open field play, that's a guy you should go after.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a guy like Shi Smith, in Tennessee. He made some minutes. There's just a couple guys that come to mind that we could have tried to go for, but instead.
Hey, look, man, we could.
There's a few guys
we could beat that horse dead a few times.
There's a few guys
we could beat that dead horse again, but we already understand that.
No, that's me. No call Fitterer that. Look, I'm upset right now. I am, because that is so enraging right now, and to see y'all heard Brian talking, today in practice. I don't know if y'all heard any of the stuff in the locker room. He just seems disheveled. He's like, it's up to God now. I mean, the trade deadline's tomorrow. He still has no idea if he's getting a contract or getting traded. And that is just, it honestly is really, really sickening.
I don't think he's going to
really
get traded. I don't think he's going to get traded. I think we're going to
I don't think so either.
I think we're going to try to work something out in the offseason. I think if anything gets traded, we should package up Jackson. We could have packaged up Chin, but he's not going to be able to be a viable entity right now. But, I mean, if somebody wants Dante Jackson, I say we do it. I say we do it for a high second round if we can get it. I would rather do that than to not do anything at this juncture. We don't have anybody on the offensive side of the ball that we can offer up as capital. Nobody that I would want to get off of anyway. So I think right now we're kind of stuck with where we are. We got to see what comes about. We just got to try to play out of this top 5 pick for Chicago and hope to God that we can try to pick something up in the second round.
Yeah, that's truly about the best we got. I mean, I will say that Dante did play well this week.
That's what I'm saying. He was the only one.
He did have a sense of presence this week. Like you said, none of the other guys that we wanted to trade, they all seem to have their worst season. Right when it was time to start putting guys on the block. So you're pretty much stuck with what you got. You're gonna have to get busy in free agency again this year. You're gonna have to hit on the draft picks. The little bit that you have, you're gonna have to hit. And just kind of always go from there.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to hear zero noise tomorrow from us. I would not be surprised to hear absolutely nothing. And I'm going to be really honest. I don't know how much we're going to hear just in general, anything big in this trade. It seems like a very quiet trade deadline. All these deals seem like they're very cold. No one really wants anybody. No one's really trying for anybody. This Leonard Williams thing earlier today was the biggest thing. And,
that's it.
That would have been... I would have given up picks for that in that. I would have... I mean, we don't have the picks. I would have loved to have those kind of picks to give up for him.
All right. It's realistically, who was Carolina going to trade to get any type of return as far as a receiver weapon for Bryce?
Brian Burns would be the only one.
That's it.
Yeah, and at that point, again, I joked about earlier. That's you're just saying in that moment, if you trade Brian Burns for anybody, you're just admitting you made the wrong decision. And you sent the wrong guy to Chicago, and you have to then go with your tail between your legs to your fan base, to your front office, and to your owner and say, I messed up.
Well, you sent the wrong guy to Chicago when you decided that trading away a number one receiver and drafting a quarterback immediately after was the right way to go. And we said that initially.
We absolutely did.
Yep. When you made the deal, well, wait, why would you trade away the best weapon for the quarterback, the new quarterback you're about to draft, just to...
Here's another fun fact.
So,
here's another fun fact. We should have never got rid of Dante Foreman and signed a $25 million running back that's not doing anything. We could have gotten Dante Foreman for much cheaper.
I think hopefully that game 2 weeks ago for the Bears was just more of a fluke game. We saw Tyson not do so hot in his next game out, and then Foreman again, not really doing a whole lot. But that last week was that was how you lose a bye week, to see the guy that you didn't offer any money to, because he would have, if you did, go off for 4 touchdowns and put up however many yards he did, and to go, okay, we like in a game where you on a team where you already have given your best player, and so he's outperforming the best player that you gave to that team. Like, that's how you lose a bye week. So I agree with you there. Watching that was very cutting. And no, we shouldn't have let him walk either. I mean, there's the the all pro team you could put together with the guys that we've let walk in the last 5 years is quite sickening. I mean, the defense alone, you put Hassan Reddick, Stephon Gilmore, these I mean, Rasul Douglas, even if you want to go even a little bit farther back, that's one that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life.
You would have kept Bradbury.
I mean,
even Bradbury, I mean, there is, and then you think about, the guys that you brought in, and then they go off, like Bruce Irvin's still kicking, was still kicking around. You let Carlos Dunlap laughing out of the field because he's like, you want me to do what? You want me to do what? And then the offensive guys you sent away, like, you could make a probably pretty good squad that would beat the Panthers with the guys that you sent packing in the last, 5-6 years. And that's what's, I think, going to spell disaster for Fitterer is, like we've said week in and week out, this week was huge for him. And the biggest win of this week was showing that Bryce Young was the guy to pick over just the two of them. You could say in what situation and what standing and what offense, regard what you have you, but I liked what I saw more from Bryce Young than I did from CJ Stroud in that particular game and in the progression of the season.
Both guys had their moments. The 92-yard drive by C.J. Stroud to score that touchdown, phenomenal. Threw it with timing, threw it with precision, things that we knew he could do. Bryce, look, still being able to manage to put together offensive drives with the amount of pressure he was getting from his blind side, stepping up in the pocket, making big-time throws, showing that playmaking ability that we saw from his other tape at Alabama.
He's cutting the mistakes. He's cutting the overthrown balls down. Like, it's dwindling each week.
A much cleaner game. And again, I thought you saw two guys that are they're going to be good quarterbacks in this league. As far as like the argument against Bryce and CJ, there was never any argument to be had by me, because I mean, I think we all knew that if you put any rookie quarterback in this situation that we put our guy in, they're going to struggle. But yeah, I think Bryce absolutely proved why he was that guy that everybody wanted to have, and why we chose the guy that we did. I mean, both guys will have good careers and they'll have good showings. But Bryce definitely put a stamp on, like, this is the reason why I'm here. And it's a big win for him. That being your first win being against your childhood friend that you come up with through like middle school all the way to the professional level with, like, that definitely means something for him. So that's definitely a good sign for him moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, it was a wash at passing. I mean, we were pretty much neck and neck at passing yards. They killed us in the rushing game, which we already knew just based on our offensive line play. So I think, to your point, Jack, it was an even kill game as you look at it from that perspective. I did like to see Bryce week 6 versus week 4 versus week 3. I think Bryce has matured in front of our eyes. His decision making has gotten better. His pass selection has gotten better. They just got to make the plays. They got to catch the ball. You got to come out of that break a little bit quicker. You got to turn around a little bit faster. Your hands have to be a little bit more sure. I mean, our quarterback is putting the ball in places where you can catch them and at least progress the flags, instead of just constantly having him run for his life or constantly getting sacked, which he did get. I think he got sacked, 4 or 5 times yesterday. So that's, again, those are the issues that we keep saying. So everybody keeps saying, oh, we're going to go out for a wide receiver. No, we need to go out for our offensive lineman. I don't know why we're not talking about grabbing a lineman. This is totally beyond me.
Well, because to be completely honest, JB, we're going to grab like 1 or 2 linemen tomorrow. It's going to be 2 guys you've never heard of that haven't played, that have been on practice squads or have been playing, second string ball for the last 3 years. I mean, tell me that hasn't been the trade deadline just routine for Fitterer in since he's gotten over this team. I mean, we think about the guys that he's added to the deadline that I've never even heard of before. And they come in and they're supposed to be depth pieces, but they're just lockers. Yeah. They're just guys at lockers at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all about, you get a job, but like, it's too little too late at that point. Yeah. And there's no real reason behind it because it doesn't solve anything.
Right. And I will say, I know we have a lot of struggles with our receiver group and how they don't get separation, but I do think a lot of problems will be solved if the offensive line was what we thought it was going to be going into this year. like how Bryce plays would look a lot different. It would have looked a lot different from week 1 till now if the offensive line would play to that level that we thought they were at. Like, I mean, Icky and his regression. Look, we're in the business of we need a left tackle.
Which is
we gotta add left tackle help. Probably kick Icky inside. Honestly, when Brady Christensen gets back, I have to see if he. I need to see what he looks like at left tackle. In all seriousness, because what we're seeing now, bro, this is not sustainable, and it's gonna kill Bryce's progression as far as whether he can stay healthy in this game if he keeps getting hit the way he does.
I think that's going to be the biggest problem with Corbett coming back. It's going to be the worst on Icky because I'm not seeing too much that I don't like from Moten in that side of the field. I'm not super concerned about that side. The rotating cast of characters we have at that guard position doesn't make me very happy, but I understand why we need to do it at this particular time. We know what Bozeman is. We knew he was going to be that from the get-go, and I'm fine. And I have no qualms with Bozeman. And you don't see anything coming up from the middle that often. Corbett, like I said, he wasn't 100%, but he was doing his job. And I think that Zavala, now this is the best thing for Zavala because I loved what I saw from him in the short instances that we got from him. But yeah, I think Icky honestly has been he's been the weakest link of this line so far, and that's what we were expecting the least. We knew Corbett and Bozeman were going to come back and be kind of slow. We were still questioning what that right guard position was going to look like with Christensen's progression, and now with him out, now you don't know what to do, And so I think but they have, like I said, been able to fill that hole fairly well. But week in and week out, it's just like I try to give him the benefit of the doubt, the situation, the guys he's going up against, the front sevens he's going up against.
Icky's just not getting it.
I'm running out of.
Icky's just not getting it. I mean, I don't know what it is. I just don't think he's getting it. I don't think what we saw last year may have been an anomaly. Him coming in as a rookie, putting out his best foot. That might have been his best year. That might have been his best effort. I hate to say it, he could be the new Jeff Otah. You know what I mean? It could be that. It could be that kind of situation.
It's looking like it.
If you think about where he was last year to where he is this year, there's no reason why at week 7 we have not seen a progression. Every week it's a regression. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's not even maintaining the same failure rate. It's getting much worse. And now, if you're looking at the defenses we're about to go up against, he's got his work cut out for him for the rest of the year. And it's not going to get easy because, as you know, the competition gets stiffer as the year progresses.
I think it's a little bit more of the fact, like, again, we continue to talk about it, and we talked about it with our defensive backs and how they've outplayed or how we were so desperate for them that we were able to take whatever we could. I don't know if it's a fact that we were just so desperate for that left tackle, and that, like you said, that in the business of getting a left tackle and the left tackle syndrome, where we were so desperate to get a left tackle to finally draft an offensive lineman high up and prioritize the position that we were so just rose-colored glasses about it that the mistakes in the beginning didn't seem so bad, and then when he was playing serviceable to well, it was kind of blown up and inflated by us, the fans, because thank God we finally have consistent play at the left tackle position from a young guy who's a hometown kid. That certainly didn't hurt. And then that pushed it forward. And then you got to also kind of think about it. I mean, look at the offense we were running last year. You're running 40 run plays a game. Yep. That's a lineman's dream.
We took him out of what he would be struggling with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We played to his strength. We ran the ball downhill. We don't have that type of running game this year at all. That's definitely hurt him and hurt how he plays. I mean, to be fair, we are talking about a guy that graded out better at left guard than he did at left tackle.
Which I think that's something that doesn't get said enough about. And the problem is now, so what, do you move him to right guard and flip him to the other side of the field? Because Corbett, I think as long as he's healthy.
Corbett's the right guard. Christensen was the left guard.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. I'm sorry. Yeah. I was
so Christensen being out. Here's the thing: you just don't have another answer at left tackle.
No, you don't.
So for the rest of this year, he's got to stay. He's got to stay there. Next season, next off season, you probably start looking at like, all right, there's got to be at least a mid-level free agent that we can grab and see if he can compete for that.
We might be able to get one in the second round. We may be able to get one in the second round, though. We may be able to get one. I mean, I don't think this draft. I think this draft needs are going to be different this year in the first round. I don't think there's a lot of teams. I mean, everybody needs a lineman, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that. But what I am going to say in that same vein is their need may not be as strong as our need. Our need is immediate, yesterday. as opposed to some of these other teams just filling out a roster spot, and they need to address other gaps in their organization.
I think that, when you talk about the line, especially, I hope and pray that it's just a sophomore slump for Mickey. I really do. I think that's kind of the best case scenario that you can think about at this point, and just hope that it's not I'm not willing to put Jeff Otah labeling on it yet.
I said maybe, Jack. I said maybe. I didn't sign his death certificate.
Okay, saying he might be like Voldemort, you're still saying Voldemort, and it's still going to say his name. So I'm going to say Jeff Otah, who ranks up there on the Mount Rushmore of me. Not top 5, but he's up
bottom
there.
5.
Well,
that's probably like bottom, like draft picks. Like he probably like bottom 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm not gonna inflict that upon him yet. I'm not gonna put that evil on him. But it is getting very concerning, and like you said, it wouldn't be so damning if it weren't for how much has been put on him. And then just the issue of, like, you could have had Moten at that spot instead, but you decided to, throughout his entire career, just continue to work him down the line until you get him to where he is now. Or you don't, kick out some of the guys that you had in that area. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they prioritize. I think we will see an offensive lineman, signed tomorrow, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it was like bringing Cam Irving back. Or signing someone off, a practice squad to play off, to fill in the gaps. I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like that, and that'd be the only move we make.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nothing's changing for us so far at the trade deadline because I gotta ask people, what do you expect to see? Even if you trade to go get a receiver, are you gonna be okay with the capital that we give up for draft picks that we don't have, players that nobody really wants? How did you really expect anything to change at the trade deadline?
Honestly, Shantiz, I just want us to be quiet and let's get through the year. To be frank with to be quite candid, I would rather us hunker down. Let's go with what we got. Let's get through the season. Let's let Scott Fitterer put him on his pink slip. Let's figure that part out and see what we're going to do from that perspective. Like, Tepper needs to be thinking about his next GM now. If you're going to keep Wright for one more year, which I believe you will, go ahead and get rid of Caldwell. Go ahead and get rid of Capers because you're wasting money there. Use that money to invest it into more capital and more players. And let Thomas Brown loose with the offense next year. And if Evero stays around, figure out this defense because our run defense is atrocious, just like our offensive line. Yep. So we got to figure that part out as well.
Watching Pearson, Singletary, that was just it never fails. It never fails. These guys that have they're in second locations, they're down in their careers, they're not getting good looks. Like, Singletary's not putting up big numbers. He's not. And so to watch that was just so come on. What are we doing?
It's almost every single signing is missed so far. Like Tuttle, Williams, Hurst.
Yeah, he had a tip ball.
I will give him credit for that. Like they made some plays. I mean, just heads up plays. Brown and Tuttle and Williams, batting
that just fits the narrative. All right, cool. Bryce has had no batted balls down, so the Twitter fingers can pause for a second. Where C.J. Stroud, your second coming of Messiah, he had 2 batted balls to Bryce's 0. So
right now, I will say a guy that really surprised me, Frankie Louvu.
Yes, sir.
He ate a lot of plays.
If his mom doesn't come to every single football game the rest of this year, I will pay for her to go to every single football game because he played out of his mind.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely.
He did. He had a great game.
Big impact, man. If those plays aren't made, there's an over route where Lucas just drops back, sees it, makes a play on it. A lot of those
types of fumble too.
The fumble.
Yeah, that's a touchdown. If he doesn't bat that ball, if he doesn't grab that ball out of the air right there when they were in the red zone, that's a touchdown. They were up 2 touchdowns to 0 at that point.
Yeah. So so many big plays made by him. Like I said, Dante Jackson, to reiterate that again, made a lot of good plays in the run game coming up, making tackles at the line of scrimmage,
which is what we've always wanted from him. That's what he's always been able to do that really well. I still love what I see each week in and week out from Troy Hill. Mm-hmm. I think he continues to make plays. That was the best signing Fitterer has made in a while. I think I understood. Woods is going to still be slow. Woods is going to still. There's a reason for what he's going to do, but I think just having him even be around helped.
Yeah, absolutely. C.J. Henderson's played quietly well.
I don't like mentioning his name because he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Yeah. But I don't like mentioning C.J. Henderson because then once we mention him, he immediately drops
I'm
off.
still expecting it. I'm still expecting this to fall down at some point. But I mean, at least for the time being, he's played well.
We also have to remember who we were playing against last week.
Yes.
I mean, we have to pull back the curtains of what offense we were playing, at least with what weapons they have on the outside that rival probably the mediocrity of ours in just the ridiculousness. I mean,
I don't know, man. Their guys got speed.
You know, you're not wrong.
They can run. They can run slants and actually catch. Actually get 20 yards off of them joints, but we can't. Couldn't imagine.
Couldn't imagine. Utilizing a core principle of passing football. But I think that going as we go into it, I think that you talk about the trade deadline, what people are going to expect. The trade deadline is built for what we've seen happen in the last few years of adding on that one or two spark pieces to a team that's already built for a playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
You're not recovering your season in a trade deadline. Most of those moves that are made in that sort of desperation end up fizzling out. You've seen it time and time again where these big guys, these big names get pulled over and then they do nothing. You think of like a guy like Albert Hainsworth, that's the biggest defensive tackle, around, and then what did he do? So I think that Leonard Williams on the Seahawks, I do not love. That is not fun to think about, and I'm glad we've already checked that game off. But I think we're not in the position. Had we not gone 0-6, you might have been in a play to make a move for a lineman, a wide receiver, a defensive backer, a linebacker. But this will be the sign to go. Okay, all that stuff we were talking about. We're just a few pieces away from the division or from the playoffs. That's all that discourse is going to go out the window when we do nothing tomorrow to propel that. Because if they actually still thought that, they would probably make a move tomorrow.
Hey, look here, man. Like Jason said, stand pat. Roll with what you got. Try to boost the guys that you have on the roster. See if you can get these guys to work well for you. Like you said, you started seeing guys like Steven Sullivan come out and play. So you're going to have to just dig deep into that roster and see the guys that you have. Put them out there on the field. We got to see if they can have any type of value going towards next season.
Yep. Treat this as an audition. Treat this as an audition for everybody. That's just where we are right now.
It's really what it is. You're just, at this point, you don't have a whole lot to lose because you're still somehow in the division race. We are. Mathematically, we are. It's ridiculous to say. I know it is.
We haven't played the Bucks, and we haven't.
What do you mean?
We haven't played the Bucks, that's what I'm saying. Like, in our division.
But we're already 0-2 in the division.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
And we're still in the play.
If we went out our division right, then we can talk about that. But I don't see us doing that either.
I don't either. I just think it's ridiculous to say, it doesn't matter if it's the NFC or the NFC South or what have you. To be 1-6 and to still be mathematically in the mix for your own division at this point in time is quite literally ridiculous. They were not wrong when they said you could take the division by storm this year. That was well out in front of you.
Hey, man, like I said, we got them right where we want them. This is what we wanted all year.
We're playing the waiting game. I'm telling that 11-6 is going to look real sweet when it started with an 0-6.
Oh yeah, man.
They're just setting it up for the record books. Never to ever happen in history of the NFL. So they just want to make their mark. Tepper's a businessman. Which also brings me to another point. And I said this earlier, and I will say it again because I think it was just absolutely ridiculous to see. Not the amount of blue seats in the stadium. That I expected. Not the amount of other jerseys in the stadium. That I also expected. But, it's funny when NFL fans do it to Roger Goodell. It's been funny from the get-go, and there was a reason for it because it was 5 to 10 years of, poor decision-making, issues, controversy, what have you, lack of whatever. When you have Musa Muhammad and Julius Peppers coming to get their shit. Coming to get their accolades. And you open it up. I know they're not booing those players, but to just boo in general, that moment is not about this current team.
Right.
And you can be upset about the decisions that Tepper has made or, what he's done with this regime, but it's not about him. So to boo in that ceremony, I thought
they booed during the ceremony?
They booed David and Nicole Tepper when they got on stage to introduce Julius Peppers and Musa Muhammad.
That's not good.
And I understand frustrations with the team. But if it wasn't for David Tepper, we would not have any of those names up on the stadium. Jerry Richardson had done nothing to acknowledge anybody of the past, other than Sam Mills, which deserved obviously recognition. But the whole reason we have the Hall of Honor in the first place is to is because of David Tepper. And you can say he's doing that to satiate, to pull the curtain over away to make people not pay attention to what's going on during the game. But I just think it's petty and speaks to why people don't take the Panthers fan base seriously to boo your owner during an award ceremony for two of your Hall of Famers.
Yeah,
potential Hall of Famers.
I just wouldn't have did it right then.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
at that moment, I wouldn't have did it. But
yeah, I hear you, Jack, but they're booing him because of the product he's put on the field. I mean, I get it. We're honoring two of our greats, bar none. But at the end of the day, what has his owner done for anything for the Panthers organization? I mean, for the Panther fan base? Nothing. We've lost. We're 17 and 40. Or we were 17 and 40 up until most recently, or however many losses we've had. I think the boos are coming from. It's coming from the fact of the matter is we have taken a downhill turn and we've gone fast. Like we knew we were going to be through a rebuilding. We didn't think it was going to be this ugly and this quickly, right? And it's been a consistent. I mean, think about it. Matt Rule had better records than Frank Reich, and we hated Matt Rule. And now you have Frank Reich, the new chosen son, and our team looks utterly much worse than when we had Teddy Bridgewater behind the center. So, there's that piece from the frustration of the people who spend the money, who play for the PSLs, who have consistently supported this team, and now we have this to look at. Yeah, we're honoring two of our greats, but you still put that owner up there who has not even really done anything, I think, to really show us that he wants to win. He said that when he bought the team. I don't see it coming to fruition.
And I agree wholeheartedly with that. I said this last time, when they were booing the team in general in that moment where it's, this early in it. But I just think that to me, when you talk about, especially, the way that this fan base is portrayed and this team is portrayed on social media, there's a clear conception around it of what this team and this fan base is deemed to be. And it's been that way. Not like it got worse with Matt Rule, obviously. It got a lot worse. But there was a sense about it, before the Super Bowl. Like I said, I remember, I said this to this day, I remember wearing Panthers jerseys to to class in middle school and getting, bullied or made fun of for wearing it because we were so crap by people in the Charlotte area. And then those same people coming around when we were going to the Super Bowl, buying tickets and spending money to be at those games. Oh, now it's awesome. And that always spoke to the fair weather fans because I get what you're saying. But in my mind, in this day of social media, I know exactly what they're booing about. We all know what they're booing about. No one else cares about the context of the boo. That clip that's put on social media to portray your fan base, the context is not given in that moment. They don't say, oh, they're booing because of however long. All they see is a clip of your entire fan base booing while two of your greats are on the field. And you would never see that from an organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, if you can find one.
Hey, look. I'm gonna tell you right now. So Philadelphia, for example,
yeah,
they're gonna boo anybody and everybody that come to that stadium, bro. And if you haven't performed, any other fan base will boo, bro.
New York Giants will do it. The New York Giants fan base,
yeah, they'll do it. All right, there's a pocket of every fan base. It's like
there is, but I'm talking when that pocket. I mean, look, we've only got a pocket of the fan base coming to the games at this point in time. It's one thing if you have a full stadium and a section of booing. It's just an aggravating to see. Look at the Charlotte Hornets. They've had obvious steps towards trying to be better, but they've also had a crap ton of controversy to the point where the owner then sold the team because of the back and forth, and to the point where they're labeled. You saw the thing on Twitter. They were labeled the worst fan base in the NBA. So what do they come out and do? You saw the clips from that first game for the Charlotte Hornets. Sold out arena, packed fan base where people were cheering the entire time in a game they thought they were going to lose.
I'm gonna keep it high.
You don't care about that. You're a Lakers fan. It don't matter. But people, you know what I'm talking about.
But basketball is different, Jack. Basketball is different. I mean, look at it this way. You just said it, right? Like, the only fan base I know that I can say that would show up and cheer for their team through no matter what are Cleveland Browns fans. But they still showed up with brown paper bags on their heads for how many years, right? So I equate our fan base to a couple of things. Very rare do you find native Charlotteans, right? Everybody's a transient. Most of the people that came here didn't even have a football team before they got here. They just enjoy coming to our stadium because they have something to go to. So that's one. The second, but the biggest issue is we have not been a legitimate organization in quite some time. We've always been in and out. One year we win, one year we lose. The cardiac cats, all of that. But now we got this new owner. He talked this big talk of, I'm a winner. I'm here to win. I'm here to put together this. And he has done none of that. He has made all the wrong moves. So yes, you're gonna get booed. I hate to say it, Jack. You're gonna get booed. And if you're in New York, if you're in Philly, if you're in some of these other in some of these other cities, yeah, it's not gonna be pretty. You are gonna get booed, for sure.
I'm not saying don't boo. I'm just saying you can pick and choose the time to, and I just thought it was inappropriate in that moment. There's not like booing in that moment. I also just don't. To me, booing is not gonna go. Oh, he's not. Tepper's not gonna go. Oh, they're booing. I need to turn something around now. He knows there's a problem. He's not. He's not a dumb man. He might be a bad strategist, but he knows there's a problem.
I like how you clean that up. I like how you clean that up. He's a bad strategist. I like how you clean that up. That's good.
Yeah.
Look, man, you see the prices for them tickets, man.
I'll agree. The price for the tickets. So, that's what I think you can. If you want to make a dent in David Tepper, if you want to make a mark on him, you go you put that stuff on social media. You blast the quality of the food, the quality of the seats. That's what's gonna make a strike a chord with him.
When you in the building and I'm close enough to you, let me just tell you personally.
Exactly.
I'm sure he got the message.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's all we need, bro. All we needed was the message sent. Message sent, message received. Just be better.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else other than just cheer or boo. Like, there's still people in the building that gotta do a job.
I agree with
until that job gets done, I don't know what you want me to say, man.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know they're booing because, and you know they're booing because Wilkes is not in the building too. Let's just keep that clear too. They're really booing because of that too.
Well, if we get lucky, we might get him back in the building.
I'm about to say, he ain't looking too out for him right now either.
If he gets scapegoated again, it seems like,
I'm all for it. Come on home, buddy. Come on home.
That would be the only way for Fitterer to, it would be another way of going, or Fitterer Tepper to try to save face, but then it would still again show you made the wrong decision. It'd be the same thing as shipping off Brian Burns. But
only thing you can do is just win. I don't even care at this point how you go about doing it. That's the only thing. I don't need to bring anybody back or do any of this homecoming stuff, bro. Just win. You just win games, bro. I promise you, I don't care about who is the head coach. I promise. Yep. I don't care who's the quarterback. I don't care who the quarterback is either. Just win. That's the simplest thing. It ain't that hard. Ain't that hard of an equation to figure out.
What is it? Winning cures all ailments. Yeah.
So then for this Colts game, what's the outlook?
I want a W.
I said, what do we think is going to happen?
15-13.
They're going to bludgeon us on the ground game. Jonathan Taylor's going to have his biggest day.
Jonathan Taylor, if you have had him on your bench in fantasy, you've been waiting for that bounce back, you said, oh crap, I did the auto draft, I didn't mean to pick him, whatever excuse you pulled, start him now. You've kept him, this is your reward. Yeah. He's going to have 300 yards, maybe 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Look, if this game featured Anthony Richardson, I actually like our chances because I'm thinking, okay, possible mistake here or there. But Gardner Minshew being
the new Ryan freaking Fitzpatrick.
You know what I'm saying? Being a veteran, not gonna make a lot of those boneheaded rookie mistakes. He'll be able to to maintain the game and operate at a high level.
Yeah.
Them having Jonathan Taylor being able to run in between the tackles, I don't see a path to victory for us. I got this going. Go 27-13.
Yeah, I see that.
All jokes aside, as long as we can limit the big plays, right? And wait for it, show some discipline and not get some foolish freaking penalties, right? Not shoot ourselves in the foot, right? Yeah. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I'm going to go 21-18, 21-17, something of that nature. I think it's gonna come down to the second half. I think it's gonna come down to the end of the third, going into the fourth, where you'll see the shift in the game and where the game will end up. I'm hoping we come out with the W. Let's do it for Reich one time if we can, or at least do it for pride. but we gotta limit those big plays, and we gotta stop shooting ourselves in the foot.
See, I'm a little worried about the implications of it being of what it's going to do for Reich's ego. I'm worried if we see the reins start to tighten up a little bit. Some of his play calling start to trickle back in. This game clearly will have, whether he will admit it or not. I mean, I don't think he's a vindictive man or anything like that regard, but it's going to have some sort of history for him. It's going to have some sort of extra ting going up against the team that you were scapegoated from and taken out of for whatever reason you may have. So I think he's going to have a little bit more on his plate with this game. And he said, which was again another just hard to listen to audio soundbite from it, where he's like, "Oh, I think I did better not having to call the plays."
If we could go into the Cowboys game,
I think he's gonna start to pull it a little bit more. I think he might try to throw his hat into the ring a little bit more on that game.
Yeah, if we could go into the Cowboys game 4-6, 3-6. Yeah, 3-6. I feel a lot better about it. I want to win.
Being with the Colts and then the Bears the week after.
Yeah, I want those 2 games, and then we won't feel so bad if the Cowboys try to put up 50 points on us. But I do want us to go in with those 3 wins back to back, 3-game winning streak. Let's go in there, and let's go in there with a little That's my goal.
I mean, we said these 3 games specifically were the biggest games for the team's ego, for Tepper's ego, for Fitterer's ego. It was the biggest thing to show, for our fan base on Twitter. We needed to beat these 3 teams specifically to show that at the very least we're not as big of a joke as losing all 3 games would imply. After making all that moves, all that energy to then just lose to those 3 teams anyway would be a big issue. I've gotten to the point now where I'm hoping and praying that Ryan Tannehill is healthy and starter for the Titans game, because the way Will Levis was playing, I'm not sure if that's a game we win.
Hey, shout out to that boy, man. Honestly.
Doing the unthinkable and scoring. He has Ryan Tannehill threw 2 touchdowns this year.
Mm-hmm.
He threw 4 last week.
Yeah. Which
is ridiculous. But either way, yeah, that Cowboys game, I mean, we've talked about it every year. There's been that game where a team's put up 50, a team's put up however many.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be that one, and the problem is, the worst part about it, it's not even gonna be offensively. It's gonna be defensively. Micah Parsons might have 3 stripped sack touchdowns.
Honestly,
thank God Diggs is not playing in the game.
Yeah, that again, it ain't gonna be pretty. At this point, we just take it week by week.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, let's get these next 2. And then we can concentrate on Micah and hope that Pollard doesn't run through us like a steam truck. And let's hope to God that they don't trade to get Derrick Henry. Either way, we're gonna see him either that week or the week after. But I would rather not see him with the Cowboys front line. I'd rather see him with the Titans front line.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I don't think anything's going to happen in that regard. The market has seemed very cool off of it, which I don't understand why. Because if I'm a team like Baltimore, you need it desperately. I mean, that's been, and they've been dancing around that for forever. Now the Titans, being that it's the Titans and the Ravens, probably don't want to make that trade because it is the Ravens, and there's enough built-up animosity for those 2 fan bases to last, another 10, 15 years. Or if I'm a team like you said, the Cowboys, where Pollard is a great, 1-2 punch kind of guy. You could have the best 2, running back room in the league to be able to have the 2 of them together. There's other teams that would want it as well that I think, it would even work in a team like, it seems like Philly's able to just absolutely destroy everybody in trades and just get the most ridiculous trades for absolutely nothing. I could see them swindling the Titans a 3rd time to get not only A.J. Brown and then get Kevin Byard, but to get Derrick Henry off of him too and say Swift's doing all right, but you know what? Let's throw another running back into the mix. Why not? Why not? Again, with all the different ways they could go about it, I don't think Derrick Henry's going to happen. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be that very many big splashes. Saquon's been talked about, or Saquon's been talked about. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't see any big guys, coming through. You definitely don't need to expect anybody like T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy coming through. That's not going to happen. That's not going to go anywhere.
No.
I think it's going to be a very quiet day tomorrow. I think it's going to be kind of just uneventful for a lot of parties, and if it is something, it's not going to be anything big. Like I said, we'll sign a couple garbage bin linemen, but you know what? We're 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
We're 1-0. We've won a game finally. Thank goodness. The other 6 games, that was just an extra long 2 preseasons. This is where the fun begins.
Absolutely. Hey man, just try to build. Just try to build on top of what we did this past weekend, and hopefully see more consistency from the offense. Hopefully see more. We see more and more from Bryce Young each week. Defensively, bro, just hold on for dear life, bro. At this point, so
We talked about it. Hey, the Hornets got to win before the Panthers did. The Canes got to win before the Panthers did. So if you're needing any kind of gear for any of that stuff, those seasons are also happening. NBA, NHL. Today, as we're recording it, is the sports equinox. You got NHL, MLB, NBA, and NFL all happening today. That's always cool. So if you need any gear for any of those sports, come to where we've always been recording this last few weeks and got our first win in recording in the studio. Come to Locker Room Charlotte for all your stuff, anything sports related. You see everything we're wearing, everything that's on display here. They've got every week they have another new rack running out of room. You can keep backing up into the whiteboard because we have less room as we're trying to film here. But come out here, make sure you come and see everything they've got, or check out their website as well, lockerroomcharlotte.clt.com, for everything sports and otherwise. And until next time, keep pounding.